What's going on, everybody? It's your boy R. Hennis. Welcome to the first lesson of Market Mastery, your only and last stop to learn how to trade the markets fluently. Not no scams, not no fake demo accounts. We're gonna learn how to do this for real. So I want to introduce you guys today is the outline for our course, right? What we have here is 10 modules, which I believe are concentrated enough to give you guys the basics information. If you guys are new to learning about the financial markets, I'm very happy to be here to show you guys a little bit about myself and who I am. My name is Arhenis. I have been a student of the markets for almost over 8 years. I've probably studied everything under the sun, so I have quite a bit of knowledge in these markets. And I'm a very versatile kind of guy. I like to trade the markets in many different ways, so it's going to be fun to show you guys different ways to approach the markets. And also, I truly believe this is a skill that's going to last you a lifetime. Today, with the uncertainty of layoffs and, war and everything, one thing you've ever realized is the markets actually never shut off. It could be a war. If you look at the COVID, right? Even COVID, there was a massive dip, but the markets didn't shut off. And if you were on that short selling side or just buying up that dip, could have made quite a bit of money, man. That was like the biggest sale you could have ever gotten. So this skill set here is something that's going to take you guys a lifetime. I'm going to keep it real with you guys. You guys might be on Instagram or the internet. You see lifestyle gurus, with the Lamborghinis. This isn't that. Because the reality is trading is much more hard work than that. And so I expect nothing less from you guys. But I do want to make it clear that this is a skill worth learning. I have been very grateful to have learned it. And I'm just happy to give it back. That was the biggest thing I realized is that I'm not a gatekeeper. I know some people make you pay them, and I'm going to have a paid tier if you want more one-on-one coaching and more personalized information. But I just want to be able to give this guys for free because I believe that you guys just deserve a good instructor, someone who knows what they're talking about, and who's constantly a student. I myself, even though I'm a master at this game, I am also a student of life. Outside of this, I love software engineering or just computer science. I'm a senior software engineer, and I do this as a hobby. So I'm very grateful. And a little bit about also what I'm doing is I'm finishing my degree at Harvard, so that's pretty cool. But let's just get into the lessons, guys. I don't want to waste any more time about me. We'll talk about me later. So here's our first video. So what is trading, right? Trading is essentially it's buying and selling commodities, assets, different price tickers. There's a lot of different things. Like let's talk about like Apple, for example, or Tesla, or the SPY S&P 500, or gold, or even soybeans or oil. All these things. Everything in the world that you're gonna see has a price, right? And this is no different than just buying a pair of sneakers at $100 and reselling it at $200. Same concept. In order for you to sell it for $200, there has to be demand, right? So if there's a lot of demand and not enough supply, what happens? Price goes up. And that's usually, very basic economic rule, but that's how price trade works. There's always a trade going on, right? If you're like a company, let's talk about NVIDIA for a quick second, right? NVIDIA has been doing some amazing things if you guys are into computer chips. If there's a shortage of that and they're the only ones controlling the supply, well then guess what's gonna happen? Let me see if I can pull them up here so we can see NVIDIA, right? If you guys haven't been following, right, AI has been eating up all these chips. So in return, where is it? Do we have the NVIDIA? It might make me want to make an account. Let's see if we can get just create your first watch list. Dude, I just want to see the chart for a second. Anyways, let's just imagine this was NVIDIA. It's the same concept, really. This rule is universal and applies to everything. So, let's talk about, if we look at Apple over the last, since COVID, since right here, right, when COVID happened, if you had just taken advantage of COVID, look, everyone else was getting laid off in the world and getting like jobs are dropped, no one's working. If you had just put some of your money and bought Apple, you know, but like at the COVID dip when everybody was massively selling, you know, you could be up almost 400%, right? That's, if you had put, let's say, $5,000, that would be probably somewhere around $25,000 right now. Again, and I mean, those numbers are applicable to anything. If you put $1 million, it could have been $4 million, $5 million, right? So these numbers are going to be, they could be whatever you want them to be. But the point is being able to identify things like that, great buying opportunities to take advantage of. Did we know it was going to go this high? No. Realistically, we never kind of know. But we can make very good educated decisions. And by doing this over time, we kind of beat the market, if you will. So that's one example. You know, there's other sectors like cryptocurrency. If you guys like that, I'm a big believer in crypto. I think it's going to change. It's changing the world. It's going to continue to change the world. There's Forex, right? If you like, you know, if you're someone who's in between Canada and the US a lot, you have to kind of deal with different currencies all the time. You know, I think if I'm not mistaken, the Canadian is like 75 cents to the US dollar. And then if we're going to England, you know, they have the pound, which is maybe like $1.20 to the dollar. So if we go to London, essentially we're having to spend more because of the currency difference. So I mean, this applies in every single sector. So the buying and selling of assets, that's essentially what trading is all you're doing is you're just taking advantage when there's a lot of supply. Maybe you're buying it at a discount, and then you're reselling it when the demand comes back in at a higher price, just to keep things simple. I will be going over what all that means into deeper details, but essentially, like I just showed you in the chart, we just buy low and we sell high. Inversely, we can also sell high and buy low. That requires short selling. In order to short sell, you have to open up an account with a broker and be able to, they often allow that. Some platforms do not allow that. If I'm not mistaken, I'll try to get a list of some that don't allow that, and then why I don't trade or put my money into those platforms. If I was a trader, you know, if I was an investor, then you can kind of just ignore that. But that's usually how this works. That's trade, right? Buying low, selling high. Very, very simple concept. And then, like you said, you know, buy an Apple stock at 150, sell it at 180, and you get $30 per share. So our goals for this course is to generate income. You know, it's very simple, right? Who doesn't want to make more money? You know, everybody wants to make money. Why do we work? Why do we do what we do every day? It's because we're trying to make money, right? So this is an important thing, right? Wealth building. You know, I was very fortunate to get into crypto very, very early in Bitcoin, and I've almost became a millionaire, right? Before I took trading to the level that I was pretty good, you know, like young 25, 26-year-old, almost $1 million off of buying maybe 30K in Bitcoin, and then I wake up 6 months later, my portfolio is almost at $1 million. That's quite insane. What else can we do achieve with this, right? We can achieve financial freedom, you know. I'm not going to sit here and be like, dude, your $10 is going to become a multi-million-dollar thing. That's not realistic. But it is, in some degree, you know, to some derivative altcoin out there, it's happened. You know, I have a friend. He's also a trader, very great trader. Also was a mentor to me early in my career. He got into a crypto very, very early. And I think he said he was a billionaire. But he couldn't cash it out because of the liquidity. He bought this very, you know, crazy altcoin. You remember Dogecoin? He bought the Shiba. He bought it early, and he was able to see billions of dollars apparently in his account. I don't know exactly what happened at the end of the day, but I took it for face value, right? I didn't fact check him, but you know, he's a pretty honest guy. So let's just say that whatever happened, he would say that couldn't cash it out. And you know, this happens quite a bit. You know, liquidity is a big thing, and we're going to talk about that later in the lessons. But you know, just keeping it simple for now. And then what can we achieve with this is beating inflation. You know, if you guys haven't noticed, you know, price here in America inflates on average. Let's say, let me actually get the facts for you guys. What does inflation average at in the U.S.? And obviously, you know, look for your country because I don't know where you guys are at. but more or less, it's been higher rates, like almost 8% since the COVID. The Federal Reserve printed a lot of money, diluting the supply, meaning that the cost of things went up in return, and inflation is the result, right? And some of us have to eat that inflation, right? And everything, just seeing the cost of goods and services go up around your neighborhoods. This affects people, Some people don't catch up with the times, or some people are retiring, or some people are not physically able to be keeping up. So what we're going to get out of this is being able to be educated on how to beat inflation, right? Some of the strategies I'm going to be giving to you guys in this is how to beat inflation. At the very least, you're going to get out of this is know how to beat inflation. We can go down the rabbit hole as far as you want. I'll take you down to the point that you're going to see more numbers than any other industry you've ever seen. So this is quite an interesting journey. But, on average, maybe 3 or 4% is what we see over the prior years. And is there anything else? That's really our goals, I guess, for the first lesson. I am excited. I hope you guys are too. And I'll catch you guys in the next lesson. Peace.